Happy Thursday! Today we are going to practice visualizing while reading a familiar fairy tale called Cinderella. So before we start, our statement is, good readers often close their eyes and try to picture in their mind what the author is telling about. They think about the author's words and what they already know about the topic. Right. That's something that we've practiced before. We've practiced visualizing many times before. And we know that when we visualize, we have to listen closely to details and sensory words that we can create that mental image in our mind or that movie in our mind. Okay, so today we are going to be reading a fairy tale called Cinderella. And I know that everybody knows that story. So before we start, we're going to look a little bit at fairy tales. We're going to talk a little bit more about fairy tales and the elements of a fairy tale. Just like a fable has elements and poetry or poems have elements, a fairy tale has its own elements. So I bet right now you're opening up your background knowledge files up here and you're getting the one for a fairy tale and you're opening it up so you can start, you're activating it so you can start making connections and adding to that file. Fairy tales. Fairy tales often begin and end with special words. Once upon a time, lived happily ever after. The stories often have characters who are royalty or a palace as part of the setting. There's usually some kind of magic that happens in a fairy tale. Events, characters, or things often appear in 3s or 7s. That's cool. Fairy tales are stories with good and evil characters. Good characters usually win. That reminds me a little bit of a fable. All right, so let's go back to our fairy tale. We're going to be reading Cinderella. And Cinderella is a fairy tale. It has characters that include princes and princesses. In this story, we're going to read about a girl who wants to go to the prince's ball. Wow. Okay. So we're going to read about a story, Cinderella. So while we're reading, we're going to practice visualizing. Okay. So we're going to listen for the author's words and use what we already know to try to make a picture in our mind of what's happening. Okay. So look at the pictures on these 2 pages. What kind of clothes is the girl in the front wearing? What do you think this girl is going to do in the dress? You're probably thinking about the version of Cinderella that you know. How are the 2 girls' dresses alike? How are they different? How do you think each girl feels about her dress? They look like they don't really feel the same. What clues in the picture support your answer? All right, let's start reading. Once upon a time, in a far-off land over the hills and past farms, lived a girl named Cinderella. Cindy, as she was called, was sweet and nice. This is a little bit different than the version I know because I don't think Cinderella was called Cindy in the version that I know. Cindy had 2 sisters, Roz and Gert. Were not so sweet or nice. They were mean. They made Cindy sweep, mop, scrub, and dust all day. So good readers sometimes close their eyes and try to see pictures in their mind. They think about the author's words and what they already know. Close your eyes and see if you can see Cindy, Roz, and Gert. Maybe they're cleaning. They're making Cindy clean. Maybe Roz and Gert just have a mean expression on their face. What do they look like? How do they act? How do they sound? I hope you can visualize that. How does Cinderella spend her day? Look at page 63. So on this page, how does Cinderella spend her day? What clues does this information tell you about Cindy and her life? What does she do all day? What clues can guide you to that conclusion? Who's telling this story? Let's go to the next page. Each year, the prince had a great ball at his castle. One day, a man came with a note. The prince asked the sisters to the ball. Maybe he will make me his wife, Gert clapped her hands. No, he will not. It will be me, Roz yelled. May I go as well? Asked Cindy. I bet we can predict what's going to happen here. So look at the prince in the castle on page 65. Why is the castle a good place for the prince to have his ball? Think about what you know about castles. On page 65, Roz yells at her sister Gert. What does she yell? Right here, she yells, no, he will not. It will be me. What does Roz's words tell you about the kind of person she is? Make an inference here. What do the words tell you about the kind of person she is? What's her character like? These words where it says, no, he will not. It will be me. Let's go to the next page. No, cried her sisters, the rug needs beating. This dish is filthy. Stay home and clean, Cinderella. Cindy watched Roz and Gert try on dresses. Red, green, white, pink, such nice colors. And the finest fabric stitched with the finest thread. All Cindy got was a dirty mop. How do Cinderella's sisters treat her? How do they treat her? How does Cinderella treat her sisters? What good things does she do to help her family? Okay. Close your eyes and picture the dresses Roz and Gert try on. What clues helped you picture the dresses? So close your eyes and picture the dresses. I'm going to read it to you again. Red, green, white, pink, such nice colors in the finest fabric, stitched with the finest thread. All Cindy got was a dirty mop. Let's go to the next page. Cindy watched her sisters drive off. She tried sweeping, she tried dusting, but she felt so sad. She hung her head and cried. Rap, tap, tap, rap, tap, tap, a wise old woman came in. What do we know about the woman who visits Cindy from looking at the picture? Just looking at the picture, what can you tell about this character? And what do we know about her from the text? What does the text say? On page 68, Cinderella is feeling bad because she wants to go to the ball but can't. Why else might she be feeling sad? Look over here. Why else could she be feeling sad? Think about her sisters. Let's go to the next page. She patted Cindy's hand. I will help you go to the ball, but I cannot go in these rags, Cindy wailed. Just wait and see. I will show you. Snap. Cindy had a nice dress and glass slippers. So how is Cinderella surprised on this page? How was Cinderella feeling before the wise woman came? How do you think she feels now? How do you think she feels now that she has a nice dress, glass slippers, a coach, and horses? Okay, and the next page says, snap, snap, 6 mice turned into horses. Snap, snap, that pumpkin turned into a flashy coach. That reminds me of the Cinderella story I know. Why do you think the wise woman turns a pumpkin into a coach? What's going to happen? And why does Cinderella now need a coach? Why does she need a coach? Let's go to the next page. It is time to go, but be back by 12 o'clock. The chimes will ring. That'll be the sign that everything will turn back. Cinderella went to the ball. She met the prince. They twirled and whirled in each other's arms all night. Then the chimes started clanging. Cindy gasped and ran fast. What words in the story helped you create a picture in your mind? So look back at the text and we're practice visualizing. So what words helped you create a picture in your mind on these pages? So for me, it was over here. It said, they twirled and whirled in each other's arms. Cindy gasped. I could just kind of picture that in my mind, what that would look like. What words on page 73 tell us that Cindy is worried about the time? She's worried about the time. And why is Cindy concerned about what will happen at 12 o'clock? What must Cindy remember to do? Let's go to the next page. Wait, called the prince. Stop. He did not see where Cindy went. She had lost her glass slipper on the top step. Back at home, Cindy's sisters made her scrub, sweep, and mop. She no longer wore her fine dress. Cindy used her finger to draw a sad face in the dust at her feet. After she drew it, her tears fell into the dust. Why did Cindy run away? Why did she run away? Why didn't Cindy go back to her glass slipper that she left? How do you think the prince feels after Cindy ran away? What clues in the text tell you that? Let's go to the next page. Rap, tap, tap. It was the prince. Is this your glass slipper? He asked Roz. She tried it. It did not fit. Then Gert tried it. It did not fit. But it did fit Cinderella. She and the prince married, and they lived happily ever after. What good things happened to Cinderella at the end of the story? What does this story teach you about how to treat people? There's a theme question. What does the story teach you about how to treat others? Now I want you to relate this to the ugly duckling. How does the ugly duckling kind of help you understand this story? We all know the story of the ugly duckling. How does it help you understand this story? Okay, we're gonna go to the next page and we're gonna have a few little questions. All right, so here is the retell rope or retell strip. Go through these and see if you can practice retelling this event in order. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 images. See if you can practice retelling the events from the story in order using these pictures. I'll give you a second to do that, and then we're going to think about the questions. Okay, so let's do the questions. Number 1, what parts of this story, what parts of this fairy tale remind you of other fairy tales you've heard or read? Okay, so that's a you question, and that requires you to make a text-to-text connection. You need to connect this fairy tale to another fairy tale that you know. Okay, why do you think the author wrote a new version of an old fairy tale? So often authors will do that. They'll change it a little bit and make it their own, but why? Why would an author want to do that? What is the big idea of this fairy tale? So they want to know what's the theme. What is the theme of this fairy tale? And it's a theme about treating others. Number 4 says, describe Cinderella and the ball at the castle as you see them in your mind. Okay, so think back to Cinderella and the ball at the castle. What do you see in your mind? Think about her dress, her slippers, the coach, the pumpkin coach. Okay, so number 5 says, look back at page 68. Why is Cinderella sad? Write about it. Okay, so we're not going to write about it, but we are going to look back at page 68 and see why is Cinderella sad. Okay, so on this page right here, where she's sitting in front of the window, why is Cinderella sad? What do you remember from the text? Why is she sad? Okay. So this page is just some more information about Paul Trudel, who's the illustrator of this story. Okay, so on your own, you're going to be using this graphic organizer, and it says fairy tale story elements. So you're going to put the setting for our story, Cinderella, in the box. You're going to put the characters. Who are the main characters? Now, there's going to be 4. Okay, well, no, 5. 5 characters. So you should see 5 characters here. What's the problem? So what's the problem that Cindy's having? What's the solution? Maybe you could list in the magical elements one magical thing that happened. And it says at the bottom, it says happily ever after. So how did the story end happily ever after? And just one good sentence would work. Okay, thanks for joining and reading Cinderella with me. Tomorrow we're going to be reading another fairy tale called Anna Rosa. I'll see you tomorrow.